Lesson, we are going to discover some kid inventors. Have you ever played with a dump truck, jumped on a trampoline, or had a glass of lemonade? Probably. I'm going to introduce you to some kids who invented these items or put a twist on them. Our first kid is a child named Robert Patch. He was 6 years old and playing with some cardboard, some shoe boxes, and put together a toy truck. This is a real photo from a newspaper clipping. You can see the title is called 6-Year-Old Gets Patent for Toy Truck. He says, "I took some shoe boxes and some bottle caps and nails and was making a truck." Here is a design he had that was submitted as his patent for his toy truck. So it was a truck that you could take apart and put back together again, almost like a transformer. And he was only 6 years old, turned it in, got a patent, and now, today, I'm sure all of you at some point have played with a toy truck. Let me introduce you to a kid named George. This is an adult photo of him, but when he was a kid, he was 16 years old, and he enjoyed going to the circus. His favorite act at the circus were the trapeze artists. The trapeze artists were swinging from these ladders, and there was a net down below to catch the artists if they fell. Well, George got to thinking, what if the net didn't just safely catch them? What if the net let them bounce back? And he put together a trampoline. Here he is showing off the trampoline with his wife that he invented. He started it as a way for exercise and athletics for kids. I'm going to read you this quote. It says, "After his inspiring visit to the circus, Neeson began working on ideas, stretching canvas across wood beams in an effort to create something that would allow him to bounce. He even dismantled his own bed and tried to use the frame for his invention." So he would take together his bed to try to figure out ways to make things bounce and ended up creating the trampoline. This was a highly successful invention and was even used in the military during World War II to help train pilots. So in this photo, here's an officer or soldier using the trampoline to bounce up and imagine different flight patterns and how to react to different scenarios in flight training. Here's another picture of early uses of the trampoline where it was used to train astronauts and exercise them for how they would be in space. So here's a game called Spaceball where the astronauts in training would jump off the trampolines and practice throwing the ball through this net. Pretty cool. The third inventor I want to introduce you to is Makayla. Now, Makayla is a girl who, like many of us in our time, set up a lemonade stand. Okay? She was 4 years old, set up a lemonade stand, is selling lemonade, and gets stung by a bee. What does she do? This does not discourage her. In fact, the bee sting gets her curious about bees. That, combined with an old recipe from Grandma on how to make lemonade, inspired her to invent a new kind of lemonade. So after this bee sting, she did this research about bees, discovered how important they are into making pollinate our fruits and our vegetables and other foods, realized how endangered the honeybees were, and decided to do something about it. So she took her old grandma's recipe for lemonade and added honey to it. She invented something, she took something that we already knew about it, put a twist in it, and made it sweeter, and every bottle of lemonade she sold, funds would go to organizations that helped save the bees. When she was interviewed about how to become an inventor for other kids to become inventors, entrepreneurs like she did at such a young age, her advice for everyone was dream like a kid. I really like that. So here's the timeline of how Makayla got started. Using the recipe from Grandma, getting interviewed, doing some of her own beekeeping, and making her own lemonade. To take away from this, it's that anyone can be an inventor, and some of the best inventions and ideas come from children. Seen any of these things before? Christmas lights, earmuffs, swim flippers, those were all inventions created by kids. Pretty cool. So my activity for you today is I'm going to give you the name of a kid inventor. His name is Frank Epperson. This is a picture of a prototype he sent in for his patent. It's titled Frozen Confectionery. Can you tell what his invention was and is based on this photo? So I'm going to give you some resources on the grid that you and an adult can help look at and figure out who is Frank, what did he invent, and maybe you'll be able to copy his invention too. It's a pretty easy one you can make from home. Good luck!